Hello, and welcome to my experimental design project, which focuses on my project that is about the impacts of fertilization on plant growth. More eco-friendly and organic-based growth enhancers like organic fertilizer help improve sustainable agricultural practices and overall plant growth mechanisms. Synthetic or non-organic fertilizers have caused many health concerns as well as irreversible environmental damages. And the experiment was carried out in an effort to discover or better understand the impact that organic fertilizer can have on plant growth and overall plant health in order to help combat current environmental issues. And so for this experiment, I hypothesized that the plants containing organic fertilizer would have a faster growth rate as well as life longevity than compared to the seeds without fertilizer. And in order to test my hypothesis, the amount of growth for each seed was measured via a ruler in centimeters every 4 days, as well as visual aids or photographs were taken to support my findings. Due to the nature of the sweet pea plant being an annual type of plant, it was unable to grow during the winter season and even in an air-conditioned location. So during my time of the experiment, it was unable to grow. The purpose of this experimental design project was to observe the growth patterns of sweet pea seeds that were provided with fertilizer in comparison to the seeds that were not provided with fertilizer. Observance and record of growth patterns was collected for the purpose of understanding whether organic fertilizer had a more substantial impact on the plant growth speed as well as its health. And so I found that synthetic and artificial fertilizers have been continuously growing in demand over the years, and especially in relation to incredibly valuable crops like maize, which serve as both a source of food and feed on a global scale. Synthetic fertilizer use on maize plants have increased by about 60% in the last few years, which have caused major environmental consequences. Some synthetic fertilizers contain heavy metals and high concentrations of radionuclides, which can contribute to the hardening of plant soil and pollute the air, pollute the water, which are both harmful to us humans as well as plants. And so since such substantial crops are using such harmful fertilizers, this is impacting us all. And so it's important to search for more eco-friendly options for crop growth acceleration in order to better protect our agricultural realm and overall planet. And so the use and promotion of organic fertilizer falls in accordance with initiatives to improve plant and environmental health as it follows the organic farming theory. This theory emphasizes and promotes self-sufficiency and soil fertility. And so the soil that hosts plants is effectively improved. I call this feeding soil biology, and to cultivate sufficiency and better plant health. So basically, you feed the soil and the soil feeds the plant instead of just directly impacting that plant. And so the purpose of this experiment was to observe whether the use of organic farming principles via feeding certain cups of soil with organic fertilizer had a better impact on plants than those that didn't get it. For the scope of this experiment, a faster growing plant in seed form was chosen in order to provide an adequate number of repetitions in order to see if the organic fertilizer had a trend effect on growth speed. I selected to use the sweet pea seeds and an organic fertilizer from a local store that was meant for plants in order to provide the chosen plant with a productive form of fertilizer, so one that was best suited for the plant I had chose. So for methods, the purpose of this experiment was designed in order to show the effects of organic fertilizer on sweet pea seed growth in comparison to the seeds that weren't provided with fertilizer in a 3-week time period. And so for the replications, a 3-week period of observation is 1 replication, and I did 3 replications for this study. For methods of documentation, I wrote down appearance, like visual appearance descriptions. I took photos, and I also took measurements that were logged every 4 days during the morning hours between 4:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. This was so then I was getting it consistently in the morning. 4:30 a.m. was because I had work at 4:30 and wouldn't get back until late, so that's why I was so early. But it was still helpful, and it showed to what the plant was looking like with different aspects of sunlight in the morning. So for methods, a total of 4 clear cups that contained 6 centimeters of Espoma organic potting mix or organic soil were used, and the sweet pea seeds were placed 2.54 centimeters deep into the soil of each cup. That's because 2.54 is very specific. I did actually get that measurement because that's what I looked up for sweet pea seeds, and it showed that that was kind of the best soil depth. The 4 seed cups were maintained in the same temperature environment of 72 degrees Fahrenheit and were placed on a windowsill for equivalent sunlight access. And so in order to best study the potential influence of fertilizer, only 2 of the 4 seed cups were given organic fertilizer, which was mixed into a potting mix, and those are labeled cups with fertilizer. And then the other 2 just didn't have it. So I was pretty clear with which ones had and which ones didn't for my logging. Once the seeds were planted into the soil, 1 inch of tap water was first added to all the cups, and then 1/4 teaspoon of organic fertilizer was added to 2 of the cups. Fertilizer was only added once for all experiment replications, and 1 inch of water was given to all seed cups every week and once a week. So for my results, plant growth measurement results remain the same across all repetitions. All measurements demonstrated 0 centimeters of growth, or just truly lack of growth. And visual descriptions were constant as well throughout all replications of the experiment. I didn't get any growth. It was about the same. Unfortunately, everything remained the same in appearance. The only time it was different was if I added water to the soil to keep watering the plants that never grew. So the soil would look a little bit dark, and that's the only difference that I would see. And so in the next slide, I'm going to show you my visual description that I logged for the first replication, because it was all the same for all. So I'm just showing one. So as you can see, this was my log of measurements and visual appearance of sweet pea seeds. I did the different types of replications, the day. So I do it every 4 days. So after I planted them, I checked in at 4 days, and that's when I started doing it all the way down. And then I would just quickly kind of log what it was looking like in accordance with the photo that I took, and then take those measurements, which unfortunately I did not get any growth. And so it was the same thing for the non-fertilized plants as well. So all 4 did not work, regardless of if it had fertilizer or not. So here are figures 1 through 3. So day 4, day 8, and day 12. And as you can see, I'm labeling cups with fertilizer. So these are the cups with the fertilizer, and there really just truly is no difference. Same thing for day 16 and day 20, which was day 20 ended my replication, my first replication. And unfortunately for that one, as well as the others, I did not have any growth. The findings in this study were not conclusive with my prediction/hypothesis. I had hypothesized that the plants would indeed grow and the fertilized plants would demonstrate a faster growth rate. However, this did not happen, and since my plants did not grow, I went to a local plant nursery and spoke to a gardening specialist to get a better understanding of why my experiment did not produce helpful data. And so I found out that sweet pea seeds are not able to grow during the fall or winter season. Even if you grow them in an apartment space or an air-conditioned space, they just are not able to grow during this time. And so I learned that instead, planting sweet pea seeds actually right now is the best time for them to then start to flower and bloom in the spring. So I also discussed with a professional whether the fertilizer would help quicken the growth of sweet pea seeds if this had actually worked, and she did say yes. The professional explained that this type of plant would benefit from fertilizer that has high phosphorus levels than nitrogen, would help speed up that growth speed. And so this can be found, that high phosphorus can be found in organic fertilizer, which means that organic fertilizers have the capacity to help improve growth speed without needing to use synthetic. So this shows me that the organic farming theory is conducive, it's helpful, and it can help reduce environmental harm since it's going to help that growth no matter what. So as such, I recommend that this study be replicated in the future using a different plant that grows faster to allow for multiple repetitions, as well as can grow any time of the year. Green onions are a good alternative to sweet pea seeds, as they can grow at any time, any time of the year. And then all other aspects of the study can remain the same to provide the best results. And so I will read my conclusion one sec, but I do just want to demonstrate. I did try, and the plants are growing. The green onions are growing with the fertilizer and the ones without the fertilizer. So in conclusion, this lab provided me with further insight on the topic of the organic farming theory, best practices for environmental recovery via organic planting methods, and what changes need to be made to have a more successful experiment. My conversation with the plant specialist helped provide insight on the positive effects of organic fertilizers can have on plants, as well as why my experiment resulted in no conclusive results. However, it can be stated that organic farming and fertilization use can help reduce the damages synthetic fertilizers have placed on our environment, while also helping speed up plant growth. And here are my references. Thank you so much for listening.